Welcome to a Telltale Books video. I'm Greg, and I'm here to give you my March wrap-up and look ahead to the month of April. To start off, what we did in the month of March. I'm not going to give every last little detail. You can go back and watch all the videos that have been posted. Some of them haven't actually shown up on the channel yet. Like, for instance, all of our Grady Hendrix. Because what we do, how we work that, mainly because of two factors. Number one, Emily's schedule, which is very busy. And number two, the fact that I need time to edit things. And I have a full-time job. So what we do is we read the books in February and early March. We shot the videos in the middle of March. Our scheduled time for getting together to shoot together is the second Wednesday of the month. So the second Wednesday of March, we got together, we shot all the videos that I needed for April. Okay, and so then those videos will be going up throughout the month of April and possibly into May if we shoot more than 4 videos, because the videos with Emily, I've reserved Fridays to always be for Emily, because I've had people ask at times, what happened to Emily? And well, I had put all the videos up, and so then it was another month before I had more videos to put up. Well, I decided to start staggering them and have just one video a month, or one video a week, on Friday nights. And so Fridays are Emily Friday. Sometimes I have surplus videos that I do earlier, but right now I'm trying to stretch it out because we're going to come up on a very big read, the Decameron of Boccaccio, which we need time for. And so I can't be hitting Emily with other things to read during that time. I need her to just be reading the Decameron and nothing else. So we'll only have that one review video that month. And so then I need stuff to fill in until then. Anyway, to free up her time, she's not going to be shooting as many videos, and so I stretched out the videos. We've shot extra videos early this year and stretched them out all the way through to mid-June. Okay, so it's not always exactly that we shoot 4 videos in the middle of the month and they all appear during the next month. So that's what you're going to be seeing, is the stuff we read in February, shot in March, is going to be coming up in April. And the biggest stories that we read are the 2 Grady Hendrix books, The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires and How to Sell a Haunted House. Both of those we did in 1 month. That was Emily's desire. I thought that was odd that she was doing 2 full novels in a month, and they weren't short novels. But she wanted to do it, so we did it. She made it. We got the videos shot. They're all edited and scheduled. They'll be premiering then in the month of April. I went further. We both bought copies of Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. Emily hasn't read it yet. I had time and I really wanted to read it, so I've already read it. So I had a month of almost nothing but Grady Hendrix, and it was great. I really enjoyed it. So that was February into March, and we did the video shoot mid-March, and I got all those edited, and they're loaded into YouTube and fit into the schedule. So they'll be coming up during the month of April. One of the videos that I put up during the month of March was a review of an H.G. Wells essay, because I've been going through and doing everything that I can find by H.G. Wells, including his essays, including just short essays that he wrote. He wrote a lot of them in the 1890s. And so I did the latest one. I've been going through an order of publication. I did the latest one. It was called The Flat Earth Again. And it never occurred to me YouTube's algorithm was going to feed that to everybody that watches flat Earth videos. So of course we got some comments from people who just don't know what they're talking about. I should say one guy that just didn't know what he was talking about. He does not understand the science of the situation, not even well enough to give a decent argument. His arguments were so full of holes. Well, anybody that watches this channel a lot knows that I'm a lot more scientific minded. I read a lot of science fiction. I did at one time want to be a scientist, and I went to college to start studying physics, realized that the math was just a little too much for me, and I really loved art, so I went and became a graphic designer. But I still love science. I'm fascinated by it, and I understand it well enough to know why I should trust in the scientific method. Not every scientist is ethical. Some of them do things that they shouldn't be doing, and so the results they published cannot be trusted. But for the most part, most scientists are ethical and follow the scientific method, and they go through the correct process, and if they stick to that process, it will get us the closest to the truth that we possibly can come. Still doesn't mean we know everything. There still may be things that we're not seeing yet, but for the most part, it reveals to us what is the truth of the physical world. Okay, when it comes to religion, science has no place being applied. It's just not. Science deals with the physical world, not the spiritual world. Okay. So when it comes to issues like whether or not the earth is flat, it's science that I trust, and that's always going to be the way that this channel is going to be slanted. So if you don't like that, think twice about following us. But I'm not going to change my mind on that. I feel it's the best way to go. And so anyway, that video, it's gotten a lot of views. It's gotten some really funny comments. It went down. I was expecting some flat earthers to jump on it and try to argue a point, but we only got the one, and his arguments were so full of holes, and so very obviously, very transparently, not knowing anything of what he was talking about. But my take on it is that it doesn't matter if H.G. Wells was right or wrong. I was reviewing his essay and talking about what he said in his essay. Okay. And that's all that matters. You know, you should be watching it with the point of thinking about the ideas that the essay presents, but also, is H.G. Wells for you? Is his nonfiction for you? Maybe you only like his science fiction and his nonfiction isn't for you. You'll find that out without having to read it all by watching our channel and watching those videos that I'm doing. You'll find out if those essays just aren't anything you want to dig up and spend time reading. And in a lot of cases, I mean, they're very old, and science has advanced so far beyond that, beyond what existed in Wells' day. And his essays were written for a more generalized audience, not scientific journals. So they're kind of light, kind of simple stuff that we've all known since we were in grade school, and not really anything that I think people would need to be reading anymore. His science essays, I mean, his early science essays. The rest of his work I feel differently about, but these early science essays, I find them interesting because I am interested in H.G. Wells. But what he's doing there, I don't think most readers would care for. And that's what I'm trying to do with doing the video. Not trying to say, not trying to dispute the flat earthers as much as I do think that they're full of crap. I'm not here to put them down or show them to be dummies or anything like that. I'm here to report on an essay that H.G. Wells wrote, and that's it. Okay, so this is only the second one of these I've done so far. In the first one, I asked for comments of whether or not people would like me to do it. The majority of comments said yes, they would like me to do it. The only comment against doing this said that I shouldn't do it because they didn't think I'd be able to come up with subject matter for every month. And because I want to also talk about whatever news has popped up in the literary world over the past month. And so far, and this is what got me to want to do this, is that before I started doing this, I was seeing all these things popping up that I would like to talk about. And in some cases, I just can't get things organized with Emily fast enough for us to get it up in a timely manner. So I wanted to do this so I could be more timely with talking about those things. And the first thing that came up in this past month, the month of March, is Amazon announcing that it was going to change its software and change its agreement so that people could not download copies of ebooks to their local drives. Lots of people got pissed at this. Lots of people are bad-mouthing Amazon for it. I'm not in love with Amazon, but I can see their side of this, because the people who were saving it locally, a lot of them, or enough of them, were removing the rights management code from those ebooks so that they could then put them out and sell them to people. They wanted to pirate. And so this does block that. You can't save it locally, so now you can't remove the rights protection and you can't pirate these ebooks. I am not a fan of digital piracy because I don't care about hurting Amazon. There's not much we're going to be able to do to hurt them very much because they got just ridiculous gobs of money and so much market share that we're not going to hurt them. The people who are going to be hurt by pirating from Amazon are all of your authors, most of whom are not well enough known to be making a living off of their writing. They're doing it on the side. They have to have full-time jobs to pay their bills. And yes, they wish they could make a living as a writer, but they can't. And so now along comes people pirating their work, making money off of their work, and the author's making nothing. Not right. Not fair to those smaller authors. And a lot of them are getting hurt by the piracy. It isn't just the big guys that are getting hurt here. The ones that really get hurt, the ones that get hurt more because they have more to lose from it, are the authors that are not selling gazillions of copies. So, and the other side of it is that way, way, way back in like 2000, I don't know, 2008, 2009, I wanted to start downloading movies, and I looked into it. I read the user agreement with Amazon, I read the user agreement with iTunes, and through Amazon way back then, they did state that they reserved the right to remove your copy of the movie from your device, from your Kindle, from your desktop computer. They reserved the right to remove or disable the movies, books, music that you downloaded at any time for any reason. I read Apple would remove things from the iTunes store, but the copy that you bought, that you have locally, still worked. They didn't reach in and remove it the way Amazon promised. So the agreements were different, and so I decided not to go with Amazon. But in all the years since then, more and more and more people have been just buying from Amazon ebooks and downloading movies and streaming the music without any knowledge that Amazon reserved the right to just pull it away from you. Even though you paid for it, they can take it away at any time for any reason. It's always been there. So it's a case of let the buyer beware. The other big story happening in March is with the new administration in Washington. They've been pulling money and firing workers from many government agencies. Lots of things are being heard right now. One of the things, or I should say two of the things that are being heard, are museums and libraries. They are losing federal funding, which they have depended on. Most of them are nonprofit organizations. Libraries don't really make money unless they force people to pay up their back fees for not returning materials on time. Otherwise, they're totally funded through tax dollars and donations. To pull money away from the library, I mean, yes, we still have state and local governments that could pitch in, but to pull federal funding is going to hurt the museums and the libraries, most of which are legitimate institutions providing a really good service. I mean, libraries are places where people can go. People who don't have computers and don't have internet access can go to the library and log on and find jobs. That's important. We need that. Libraries are places where people can go and get information that they need about getting grants so that they can get higher education, about in different types of careers that they might be able to go into, and of course get fiction. Like a lot of the great stuff we talk about here on Telltale Books is available at your public library. But that's all made available by the monies that are granted to these libraries, mostly through various government grants. So pulling money away from the libraries and the institutions is going to hurt them. It is going to cause them to reduce their services, reduce their selections, reduce what they have to offer. And it's all of us that are going to suffer. I mean, it's great for those of us who have the money to go out and buy the books we want, but there are a lot of people who don't have that. And they need the library. I've noticed a lot of booktubers have been reliant on the library because they read so much and review so much, and they know they are not independently wealthy, and so they're not going out and buying all those books. They're going to their local library or going online to the Libby app and getting ebook editions through their local library. So there's lots of people that are dependent on this for good, clean, legitimate reasons. It's not all tranny shows and smut. There's a lot of it that's good things that are beneficial to the community and beneficial to the public that come through the libraries and museums. Another thing it's actually an issue that we talked about a few months ago, but I'm starting to see more and more and more people on YouTube talking about the lack of men's literature. The topics range from asking the question of why men aren't reading to talking about the fact that the publishers just aren't publishing fiction that would traditionally be identified as men's fiction, the more action adventure type stuff. I see this happening, and it's caused me to think even further. I mean, when we did our video, I made the point that, a lot of the publishers were focusing on women's fiction and feminist issues and queer issues, and there was a lot of political motivation. I'm not saying that that's not there, but I've also been thinking about a lot of the new releases, and many of them are, at least, maybe they're not James Bond action adventure, but they are stories that I would identify, that in the past I would have identified as more male-oriented fiction. There are a lot of current authors that are writing fiction that it may not be testosterone-filled men's fiction, but it's certainly not what you would normally call women's fiction. It's not the romantasy. It's not the feminist issues. It's not necessarily queer oriented. It's just general stuff, and it's not. It's what we would have considered to be men's fiction in the past, and there's nothing wrong with that, because there's plenty of women's fiction and plenty of other stuff. There is a pretty good mixture. And Stephen King still publishes. Dean Koontz still publishes. Yeah, they're getting really old, but they're still cranking out books constantly, and their fiction is definitely not what you would categorize as women's fiction. And then, as I said, there are a lot of authors. There are a lot of authors that have political leanings towards the right that are not getting picked up by the major publishers. And yes, that is political, but those authors are being published by small presses, independent publishing, self-publishing. There's avenues for them. So the fiction is out there. So it's not that there's nothing for men to read. There really is plenty to read. Grady Hendrix is a guy. His books tend to be written from a female perspective, but they're really excellent books. I think they're great books, and I've been enjoying them immensely. And I guess that's what it all comes down to, is that books should not be, we shouldn't be publishing books for women. We shouldn't be publishing books for men. We should be publishing books. And those books are going to have a perspective, and sometimes that perspective is going to be a more female perspective. Other times it is going to be a more male perspective. So yes, it will appeal to different groups differently, but it should all be published. It should all be getting published. It should all be put out there. And there really is, if you want to take the time to look for it, there really is a variety. And there are lots of booktube channels like this one that are being done by men. So I think there's plenty of male readers. So really, what it comes down to is it's kind of a non-issue, really. we shouldn't bother talking about it. We should just read books and enjoy them and move on. Another thing that occurred fairly recently is the list of the 2024 Nebula Award finalists was released, and I decided I was right away going to start going through the list, starting with short stories. I've read all the short stories, and I've shot reviews of all the short stories and scheduled those to start appearing. They'll be again appearing through the month of April and into May. And I think they'll still be going in June yet with the novelettes. And because I'm not a fast reader, I'm not sure about novellas or novels yet. We'll have to see if I can get time to read any of those. There are some I'd like to. I've already got The Tusks of Extinction and The Book of Love that I want to read and see how good those are. And we'll see if I can get to any of the others, but that's going to be a little harder. But definitely the short story and novelette category. I've already gone through it. I've already shot reviews. I just got to edit them all and get them all up on YouTube. And I will be scheduling them out. Like I say, they'll be going through April and all through May. So watch for those. I found it really interesting because I have been recently kind of disappointed by the fiction that was winning awards. This year, I'm pleasantly surprised. There are some in there that I think should not have made it to finalists, but there are some that did blow me away. So I was really enjoying reading through those. One thing that I found, though, that kind of relates to an issue I talked about last month about all the major old magazines being published by a single group in order to try and instill some interest back into them, keep them going, keep them from dying. The Nebula Award finalists, almost 100% came from magazines that are online and available for free. There's only one short story where I had to pay for an ebook version of a magazine in order to read the story, and I didn't have to pay much. All the rest of them I read for free in the short stories and novelettes. When you get into the novellas, those are published as books. You can get them as ebooks, but you got to pay for all those. No getting around that. But in the short fiction categories, everything that made it to finalist came from the free sources. Makes us stop and wonder. Are people just not willing to pay for the magazines anymore? Are people just not interested in bothering with Analog or Asimov's or the Magazine of Fantasy and Science Fiction? Do they feel that what's being published there is inferior? It isn't. There's a lot of the short stories they've been publishing that I haven't been liking lately, but there's a lot of the longer works that they publish I've been thinking have been really, really good. And so the lack of anything from those magazines in the Nebula finalists makes me stop and think. Is it that people just won't bother with the paid magazines anymore? If so, then even with this group buying them all up and trying to keep them going, they're going to fail because people aren't going to buy them because they're not interested in buying them because they can read Clark's World or Lightspeed or Uncanny for free. Now, I don't know what how those magazines treat their authors. Do they buy the stories that they put out there for free? And if so, where do they get money to keep going when they're just putting it out on the internet for free? So either the authors are getting paid an extremely low amount of money, or these magazines are just losing money like crazy. I don't think that's a good situation. I think we need to pay the authors. So I almost hate to say this, but I really think the magazines like Clarkesworld, Lightspeed, Uncanny, they've had so many Nebula and Hugo Awards winning stories come from them that I think they can go to a pay model, subscription model, and stop giving everything away. So long as they're not charging ridiculous amounts of money, I think people will be willing to pay it, because they are publishing some really good fiction. So that's a question. I don't really know if I'm right about that. Maybe it's just coincidence, or maybe it is that most people are only reading the free magazines, and so all the finalists are coming from all the free sources. I don't know. You tell me. So then, what's coming up for April? First of all, I want to mention there are 2 books that are being published that are interesting. I suppose I could say 3. One really interesting book that just recently was published, I think I got my copy of 1 week ago, is, well, it's not really a new book. It's a reprinting of a book that was published, I think, in 2017, if I'm not mistaken. Welcome to the Dreamtime by Norman Spinrad. Published by Anti-Oedipus Press, and it's really good to see someone like Spinrad being published again. Especially since he's one of those old guys, you know, most of whom are dying off, and the ones that remain are having a hard time getting published. And it's good to see him get published. So there's one book that I'm really, really looking forward to reading. It's a very short book. The next one that just came out, now I'm recording this on May 31st. March 31st. You won't be able to see it till tomorrow, April 1st. And so when this video comes out, a new book comes out by Ray Naylor. His book is titled Where the Axe is Buried. I don't know much about it, but I've been enjoying Naylor's work. Like I say, I've got Tusks of Extinction. It's a Nebula finalist. I want to read it. I really love The Mountain and the Sea, and so I'm looking forward to his new book. The other one I'm looking forward to coming out this month, another one by a guy, Neil Asher, Dark Diamond, comes out on the 10th of the month. So those are the new ones coming out that I'm looking forward to. And what we're doing for Telltale, we've got some exciting things coming up. I'm continuing my Francis Stevens read-through. Emily's going to join me for this one. She's already finished reading it. I'm almost finished reading it. The third work by Francis Stevens, which is a novel called The Labyrinth. Enjoying that, and we're going to have that. We're going to shoot that mid-month. It probably doesn't appear on the channel till in May, but that's one of the things we're reading this month. Another thing we're reading this month is The Prowler at the Edge of the World by Harlan Ellison, which is the sequel to the Robert Bloch Toy for Juliet. And both of those, well, the Toy for Juliet, we haven't put that video up yet. That will be coming up, and then Prowler at the Edge of the World will be coming up as a video review. And really big news, I'm hoping to get back to my Stephen King read through and have a video up later this month for Rage. That's the next in order of publication in the Stephen King list. And after that, we are reading, Emily's currently reading it. I haven't got to it yet. I will get it finished in time, real easy. And then we are going to shoot a collaborative video, a Zoom video with a major booktuber, Michael Vaughn. Because we're going to be reading Tarzan of the Apes, and when I thought about it, Emily and I don't know anything about this book. We've seen movies. But when I thought about that, I thought, for the two of us to do it and really not know anything about it, not know much about Edgar Rice Burroughs, we really should bring in somebody who knows. And the one name that pops out in my mind when it comes to Edgar Rice Burroughs, really Edgar Rice Burroughs, Robert E. Howard, H.P. Lovecraft, and a lot of the early pulp fiction, is Michael Vaughn. So I asked, and he said yes. So we're going to be shooting a Zoom discussion with him about Tarzan of the Apes, and I'll edit that and get that up on the channel fairly quickly. I believe it will go online first week in May, the video. So look for that one also. So that's where we're at right now. March wrap up and what our activities in April are going to be. And most of it you'll be seeing in May. This is how it works for us. And I hope you'll enjoy all of that. And come on back for all that we do, all the videos that are going to go live during April. I hope you'll watch them and enjoy them. And keep coming back for all these things that we talk about. We have lots more exciting stuff coming up in the future. So don't forget to hit the like button and the subscribe button on your way out of this video.